The medieval empire of Valerie is a grim one. A darkness threatens the land, and the gods have chosen the Rose siblings to fight against it. 6 brothers and sisters now have to brave a dark, unforgiving world, relying only on each other and their unique gifts. They have to brave abuse, starvation, and monsters, and even then, they might not survive. The gods are cruel. Whispers of Heaven was written by Krista S. Rose and published in 2015. While the title might sound like some religious nonfiction textbook, I can assure you it's not. It's set in a light fantasy world, which starts off slowly, looking like a basic medieval setting, but it adds in magic and monsters. While we only get to see so much of that world within the story, this is only the first book in the Saga of the Rose trilogy, so I'm sure it'll expand and become much more vibrant than it already is. What the book really focuses on are the characters and the thematic use of darkness within the plot and the world. The siblings are perhaps the best thing about this book. Each one is given a unique power, personality, and interest. Even though you get all 6 siblings and their parents and a side character called the Crone, introduced in a single chapter, the book doesn't overwhelm you. The following chapters go into deeper detail about each character, and it becomes pretty easy to distinguish each one from one another. There's a lot of variety present, and it shows a lot of imagination. The siblings are named Krissa, Brannon, Lanya, Kylie, Alexin, and Reese, born in that order. Krissa is the eldest, so she's the protector. She's also able to dive into the minds of others, which both helps and really works against her when she gets her first taste of real evil. Brannon is the biggest and can summon fire, but he doesn't have the training to control it yet. Lanya is an empath and does what she can to heal her siblings from the mental anguish around them, and may have the hardest journey out of the group. Kylie can talk to animals, and Alexin is a genius with mechanical engineering. Reese is the only Rose kid without any magical powers, but he did receive special training from a young age, and might be the most dangerous fighter of the lot of them. For the record, my favorite characters are Lanya and Reese, since they're the deepest characters with the most promising story arcs. That being said, the characters do come up a bit short. They are this close to being fully fleshed out, but they feel more like a really good outline of a person instead of a person unto themselves. Most of the scenes with the siblings just serve to advance the plot. There are exceptions which focus on developing the siblings and their relationships, but they're sprinkled in sparingly. If there had been more, or if existing scenes were written to focus more on characterization, this problem would have been resolved. Still, what we do get is not bad, just a little shy of how good it could be. The magic system each character gets to utilize is largely separate from one another, which makes gauging them difficult. While the brothers get abilities based on strength, except for Alexin, who's just really smart, the sisters get powers based on psychic abilities. That being said, the overall magic system for this world isn't really defined, so while certain powers do seem unique and powerful, it also seems like something vastly stronger could breeze in at any time. There's very little in terms of balance between the powers, as if something brand new could show up at any moment based on plot convenience. We get an example of this late in the book when a new type of enemy is introduced, despite getting no lead up beforehand. Now, this does work fine within the larger context of the series. It is a trilogy after all, but I am curious about how everything will fit together in the end. Now, the siblings are destined to battle a broadly described darkness, and while there is a distant evil in the world, they're going to have to take it on in smaller doses first. And fair warning, the book does deal with assaults, domestic abuse, and there is an attempted... The author does give the darker elements the weight they deserve, and she doesn't shy away from showing how traumatic these events can be. Several characters deal with long-lasting trauma or heartbreak from what they go through, and it's only because of their bond with their siblings that they can survive. The writing style does show some polish. Although I do think that the characters need work, scenes are introduced well and settings are described using clear imagery. You get a solid understanding of how the world looks, how certain cultures operate, and you even get an understanding of the world's commerce. There was clearly a lot of thought put into building the world. There's a gradual setup that really benefits the book overall, so when you finally get to the climax, you know how everything is situated and how varying societies fit together. Also, there are 3 maps for the 3 most notable locations the siblings travel to, and you know me, I do love me some book maps. Overall, Whispers of Heaven is pretty good, not a bad time to be had for sure. While the characters and magic system could use some work, the world is set nicely, the plotline is dark, but it has some good depth to it, and the writing style flows well. If you're in for a light fantasy kick, I say check this one out. You'd be helping support independent authors. So, have you read the book? What did you think? If not, do you want to read it now? Whatever your thoughts, comment below and stay tuned for more.